in our morning service and those who are following us on live stream. We will continue with our series on the book of Philippians, and we are on chapter 2. Last week we learned the value of humility. What is the best expression of humility from last week? Obedience. Okay. Because from Philippians 2, Jesus humbled himself and became obedient even unto death. So a person actually, well, anybody can say, well, I'm humbling myself. Not really. Unless you are obedient. The only demarcation line is sin. When we are told to do something and it's sin, of course we are not supposed to do it. But if it's not an issue of sin, humility is obedience. And when people say they are humble and then they don't obey, they are not true to their word. Now, one of the models of humility that they have, sad to say, comes from paintings, especially the Renaissance paintings of the saints, you know, with their poker face. They wouldn't smile, they wouldn't frown, just a Mona Lisa look. That is not humility. That is just their face. Okay? And when we talk about humility, sometimes we are thinking about somebody being abused and they're not doing anything about it. That is not also humility. Sometimes it's stupidity. Okay? You don't allow people to take advantage of you. Now, in the example of Christ, you saw how obedient he was unto death. But when it was not time for him to die, he wouldn't give an inch. You know, look at the terms he used in the scriptures. He called Herod at one time, tell that fox. You know, he called those people whitewashed sepulchres and all of those things. Now, the example of Jesus from incarnation to ascension give us a model not only of humility, but also a model of faithfulness. Say faithfulness. So we're going to talk about faithfulness in partnership today. Because people sometimes make commitments. I told you already in terms of fundraising, according to statistics, when in a church, a fundraising scheme is made, only around 20% follows through. Meaning, not because the congregation says amen to something means it's really an amen. It could be that people are saying amen because of the crowd. We normally just go on with the flow. However, faithfulness is something that we see in Philippians from the first day to this day. We will learn in this lesson what that faithfulness means in practical terms. Now remember this, any biblical truth that you learn that you cannot apply on practical level is useless. You know, it is really useless. It's just like going to school today. Most of what we learn in school, we don't apply. You know, like when I was in college, I was already on my junior year, and suddenly the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports issue a new order. They will teach all students again Spanish and Filipino. Can you imagine, I was born in the Philippines, speaking Filipino, and then I studied Filipino in elementary, high school, and now in college. How many more Filipinos do you need to learn, you know? But that is just a requirement that was made. And I was already graduating the following year. But in Spanish, I have to take 12 credits of Spanish, and then 6 credits of Filipino. That's a lot of semesters. And so I was forced on my third year that summer to take summer courses just for Filipino and Spanish. And the following year, just so that I will not overstay. Some students like overstaying. I don't like overstaying. So I did not overstay. But I remember taking those courses. It's garbage. I mean, nobody pays attention. In fact, my Spanish professor says this, well, you guys are engineering students. You don't appreciate this. I know you just want to pass because it's a requirement, so you will all pass. He started with that. Well, the moment the professor says you will all pass, what do we talk about? Sports. You know, we talk about Robert Jaworski and all of those characters in the Philippine PBA League. Well, that means it's a useless course. It's practically useless. And you have courses right now that you are taking in school that you don't know what in the world are you taking it for. There's no value to it. But I don't know why they put it in there either. But it's there, so you take it. So, but God is different. There is always a purpose for everything that He tells us. And so, as we learn this, I'm going to handle one of the passages of the Scriptures that some people still question to this day what it means. Hopefully, we'll be able to give light to it in context, okay? Let's talk about maturing together to begin with. Philippians 2:12. Philippians 2:12. Our main theme is partnership, so I decided to just put it maturing together as a caption. Philippians 2:12. Therefore, my dear friends, just as you have always obeyed. Now remember, the previous subject is humility, obedience as an example of Christ. Just as you have always obeyed, so now, not only in my presence, but even more in my absence. Philippians are quite a church. We are obedient sometimes when our parents are present, and less obedient when they are absent. Here, they become even more obedient when Paul was no longer there. Now, this is the passage that is troublesome for others. But even more in my absence, look at this, work out. Say work out. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Now, they are already saved. And yet, Paul said, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So people say, do we have to work to maintain our salvation? That's not what is being discussed here. We'll explain that later. For it is God, again, the same verb is used here. For it is God who is working in you. Now, work out your own salvation because it is God who is working in you, both to will and to work according to His good purpose. So right now, if you are a Christian, God is doing something in your heart that affects your will. Okay? Not only your will, but also your desire. And your will and desire, the moment you get born again, is going to be transformed by God to align with the purpose of God. If your will and your desire does not align with the purpose of God, then either God is not working in you or you're not listening to it. Now, the problem with, if God is not working in you, it means you're not saved. That's why it is impossible for a person to say, I'm a Christian, and there is no inkling in his heart to fulfill the purpose of God. It's impossible, because now God is working in you both to will and to work. Not only just, I desire it, but to work according to His good purpose. Verse 14. Do everything without grumbling and arguing. The word grumbling, where did we first see that word? Wilderness. So now, Paul, being a Pharisee and an expert in Old Testament law, is importing this term that we first saw in wilderness wandering. So it says here, do everything without grumbling and arguing, so that you may be blameless and pure, children of God who are faultless in a crooked and perverted generation, among whom you shine like stars in the world. Now remember in Galatians, we started with God saved us even from this present evil world. Now in Philippians, it was described as a crooked and perverted generation. This generation is crooked and it is perverted. You start with that, you will begin to understand why the world is behaving the way they are behaving. Faultless in a crooked and perverted generation, among whom you shine like stars in the world. 16, by holding firm to the word of life, then I can boast in the day of Christ that I didn't run or labor for nothing. Some of your translation, labor in vain. But even if I am poured out as a drink offering on the sacrificial service of your faith. I am glad and rejoice with all of you. In the same way, you should also be glad and rejoice with me. Now, the whole of the Philippian church is being addressed here because first person plural is used by Paul. This is important to know that he's addressing a group, a body, as we interpret this text. Now, Paul gave 3 commands based on their obedience. So, the 3 commands can only be followed the moment you adopt an attitude of humility. Humility is tested by your obedience. How do you know you are humble? You obey. How do you know you are obedient? You are doing something. You are working something. You don't just obey in words. You obey in action. So, in the context of the humility of Christ, which Paul wants them to have, we need to see this. Now, they have always been obedient, and Paul wants them to continue their obedience, meaning since they have always humbled themselves before the Lord, Paul is giving them 3 commands. These commands cannot be followed unless you have humility, unless you have obedience. I said before, humility is a tricky thing because the moment you recognize you have it, you just lost it. I am referring to people saying, well, I am humble. The moment you recognize that, you just lost it. But then what? The moment you consider the best expression of humility, then you will know how to handle it. Humility is best expressed in obedience. And because they have always been obedient, now Paul gave them these 3 commands, 3 imperatives. This is how you mature. This is how, as a church, we mature. People say, well, I want to mature. How do I know I'm maturing? This is how we mature. First, verse 12, which is problematic to some. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Now, isn't that we are already saved? The moment you believe, right? So what does it mean, work out your own salvation? You are already saved, and yet Paul said, work out your own salvation, as if you're going to lose it. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. First of all, let's remind ourselves of this simple truth. God does not save anybody just for the sake of saving anybody. Okay? Meaning, you are not saved, oh, I'm going to heaven. That's it. God is done with you. And people say, well, the most important thing is for you to be saved. That is true and not true. Because there is always a reason why you want to be saved. The reason why you want to be saved, the moment you are saved, is what you need to work out with fear and trembling. Okay? I want you to keep that in mind. The reason why you want to be saved is what you need to work out with fear and trembling. Now, you have a reason. Sometimes, before we get saved, we have a vice, a weakness that we can't overcome. So somebody witness to you and say, well, the only way you can be freed from that, say a family curse, is by giving your life to Jesus, be saved. So for example, family curse of sickness. You know, some people claim it all the time, and you're very happy claiming it. And you realize, for example, some people have cancer, and I don't know what kind of cancer. They say, well, at the age of 40, our females or our males start having this cancer. And everybody consistent. Remember, Brother Willie said that his, I think, great-grandfather, his grandfather, his father, died on the same date after so many years of cycle. It's a family curse that Brother Willie broke in his family. Okay? Now, some people are like that. So now you are saved. But then you are still laden with fear over that family curse. That is what you have to work out. You have to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. The reason why you get saved is because you want to get rid of that. Some people say, well, I can't get rid of sin. You want to get rid of that. Now, that is your purpose in your limited mental capacity. God has a purpose, though. Why is it that God wants to save us? People say, well, so that we will not go to hell. Well, hell is not prepared for us. The Bible says in Matthew 25, hell is actually prepared for the devil. The only reason why people are going to hell is because they decide to follow the devil. If you want to follow the devil is going to hell. You're going to go to hell. But hell was not prepared for man. God doesn't want man to go to hell. But because man decided they will follow the devil, then wherever the devil goes, that's where they will go. So now, the moment Adam fell, the purpose why we were created was suspended. God did not stop with that purpose, but it was suspended. So the moment you're saved, God wants to restore you back to His original purpose. So God did not just save you. He saved you so He can put you back in the right path. That is His purpose. Okay? So God did not just save a person for the sake of saving a person. For a purpose. It's like anything that we do. Why do you get married? You don't get married just for the sake of getting married. You have a purpose. Some people get married because they say, well, you know, that lady is old and sick and dying. I better marry her. So when she dies, instant millionaire, you know. That is their purpose. You cannot blame them for that. Well, why do you go to school? Well, to finish a degree. No. You go to school not just to finish a degree. What's the use of a degree if you're not using it? You go to school so that you can accomplish the following things. Okay? One of which is to be trained mentally so that you will learn certain principles in school, to finish with a degree because that degree will give you access to promotions and job opportunities. But then you also say, I want to be able to do the following things. So actually going to school is just a stepping stone. That's why some people go to school, it's useless because it's not even a stepping stone for you. Sometimes school becomes a stumbling block for you. Some people lose their confidence the moment they go to school. Some people lose their salvation the moment they go to school. It becomes a stumbling block for them. There has to be a reason why you want to go to school. Because the moment you graduate, it's what graduation is called commencement exercise. You know what commencement is? Start. Now you start. Now you start. Start with what? Well, I'm happy I have a degree, I have a piece of paper. That's just a piece of paper. Start with what? Start with my journey in life to fulfill this reason why I went to school. Okay? So salvation is the same way. You don't just get saved for the sake of being saved. Although it's good. There is a purpose. In that context, that's what it means by work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Okay. You want to finish college. Why? You want to be, like for example, who's this? The former CEO is dead of Chrysler. Who's that guy? Very famous. Lee Iacocca. Lee Iacocca, right? He finished mechanical engineering. He actually wants to be rich. He wants all of this goal in his life. So he was a mechanical engineering for Chrysler. Well, he found out something. There is no money in him working in the shop. He began to explore while he was in Chrysler, where is money? He began to find out money is in sales. So he moved to sales. And he was actually a very good salesman. And then when he moved to sales, he said, I want to be able to change this company. I want to be able to do the following things. He keeps aiming for more until he became the CEO. But education is just a tool. He has a purpose. That's why one of the things that God does the moment we get saved is He gives us purpose. Because that purpose will keep us going. Do you think that God led people out of Egypt so that they will be out of Egypt? Huh? Do you think that God led people out of Egypt so they will be out of Egypt? No. He led them out of Egypt so that what? He can bring them to the promised land. Is that the end? No. So that from these people, He can create a holy nation, a peculiar people, a people of faith that will shine all over the world. His purpose is global evangelism and discipleship. That's His purpose. So God did not just bless Israel. You say, well, how come this nation is so blessed? Nobody can defeat them. Because God has a purpose for these people. He wants them to be His arrow. Remember what the Bible says? That blessed are those whose quiver is full of children. Where they are His children. God wants His quiver full. He wants the nation of Israel to be like His arrows that He can shoot all over the world. So the knowledge of God will fill the earth as the water covers the sea. It failed. Now, when the church was born, that is the same purpose that God has. Because God's purpose does not change. So God doesn't do something in your life for the sake of doing it. Why did He heal you? Just for the sake of healing you? Not really. Why did God prosper you? Just for the sake of prospering you so that you can eat more than 3 times a day? So you can buy a new car every 3 or 5 years? That will be such a silly reason for God. The reason why He does certain things is because of His ultimate purpose. So in context, what it meant by carry out is, work out your salvation is carry it through. Or bring it to partnership or bring it to maturity in partnership with Christ. Why? Because God already put a will and a desire in your heart. The moment you get born again. I told you so many times before I got born again, maybe because of how I was raised, I was telling myself, I'm just going to get rich. I remember I was in 5th grade, English class. My teacher was absent, And I was just sitting there, and I said, man, I said, I'm going to finish school. I was in 5th grade, English class. My teacher was absent. I even remember the name of the teacher, Miss Santos. He's a folk dancer that the Philippines sends overseas. Well, mainly in Japan. And I said, man, my classmates, they have money. When it's recess time, they can buy things. They can do this. So I said, I'm going to finish school. And when I finish school, I'm going to get me a job. I'm going to leave the house, and I'm going to get rich. That was my purpose. Well, I got born again. The moment I got born again, God did something in my heart. I suddenly desire to teach. I like teaching. I like to preach. It wasn't there before. I was even a nervous wreck just standing in front of public. The first time I preached in a big church, my knees were shaking. That's why I end up drinking water all the time, and I never lost the habit because my saliva is thickening. I have to keep drinking water. I was just nervous. Thank God in those days the pulpits are big. So I was holding on the pulpit, and my knees were shaking. Yeah. And I have to overcome it. So I moved a lot in those days just to overcome nervousness. But I love teaching. God put that desire in my heart. Now listen, the moment you get born again, there are certain desires that you did not have before. That suddenly is yours. Why is God giving you that desire? Well, just for the sake of having a desire. Because that desire will lead to another desire. Why don't you use that desire? The moment you use that desire and work on that desire, a new desire is born. The moment that is fulfilled, a new one is born. And you will begin to see one leads to the other. What is that? God is working out. You can even compare it to a workout. By the way, when you work out in the gym, say you're a man and you want to build your muscles. When you work out in a gym, does it mean you have no muscles? I like Joel. He will always tell me, "Oh, Papa, I have no muscles." I said, "No, you have muscles. You have the same number of muscles." But when you go to the gym, does it mean you don't have a muscle, so you need to have muscles? That's why you go to the gym. You have muscles. Why are you working it out? To develop those muscles. But the muscles are already there. The muscles are already there. But you now work out so that you can develop those muscles. Salvation is the same. When you work out your own salvation, it doesn't mean you don't have salvation. The reason why you can work out your own salvation is because you have salvation. Why do you work it out? To bring it to its God-given purpose or God-given potential. I like a term that I've read before in politics. Somebody's approval rating was high, so he said, "Let's take it out for a spin. See what it will bring." Meaning, I will use my political capital to see what I can gain out of it. And let's gain the most out of this political capital because his approval rating is high. So let's gain the most. He already has the approval. Now let's take it out for a spin. See what will come out of it. Say you have an extra money, and you want to go for investment. The principle of investment is you invest something that is surplus. You don't invest what you don't have. So you have an extra money. Say you have an extra, I don't know, $20,000. Say, well, I've got an extra $10,000. What am I going to do with it? And somebody tells you, hey, listen, it's buzzing right now. They say, hey, wait till the election is over. Everybody is waiting for the election to be over because then they will know more. If Biden gets elected, they say this is what's going to happen. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to pull out and we're going to do these things. If Trump is elected, these are the stocks that will probably. And so they are pouncing, they are waiting. And they say, buy them now. Because the moment the election is over, these things are going to take off. Whoa. So now you have $20,000. What are you going to do with that? You're scared. You say, well, I may lose it. I have this potential, but I may lose it. I'll just put it in the bank and earn 0.1%. And the inflation is a lot more than 0.1%, so you end up losing money. So you begin to say, what am I going to do with it? And so you gain courage. Oh, let's bring it out. Let it work for us. So you study, let it work for us. You are trying to see what you can do out of it. I told you an illustration years ago. That's why they illegalized it. A certain investment banker was looking at the dollar and the yen. It was in the Fortune 500 magazine decades ago. And he said, he realized at a certain day of the week, the price of yen, the yen drops against the dollar. Certain days of the week, it drops against the dollar. And then after a couple of weeks, it goes up by so many points. And so this investment accountant says, let me look at it. And he created a chart. He said, whoa, I can see this. And so he followed it. After following it, he said, I'm going to hire me some staff for something like 2 or 3 months. I'm going to hire me some staff and study this further. So he hired a couple of staff. And these are intelligent people who say, I'm going to hire you for 2 or 3 months. Let's see what happens to this pattern. And the pattern is true. You know what this guy did? He pulled out all of his money. He said, I'm going to take whatever, he's young, he said, I'm going to take whatever wealth I have for a spin, see what happens out of it. He's got a house. He put it to the maximum. He mortgaged his house. And everything that he has, he put it in there. And he's got this staff watching it. And when the time was ripe, it's only after 2 weeks, whatever he bought in yen, he sold it. Made millions of dollars. That's why they illegalized it. Made fortunes out of it. What happened? He has money. He has potential. He took it out of a spin. Became an overnight millionaire. Have you seen that movie by Will Smith when he was a broker? What? The Pursuit of Happiness. That's a wonderful movie. This guy was divorced by his wife, has nothing, almost nothing. He stepped on it to the max. And it says at the end of the movie, after a few years, he sold his own, he became a stockbroker, and then he built his own, and he sold it after a few years for a multi-million-dollar deal. He knows how to max it. Now listen, what is your salvation? What potential does your salvation has? What is it that God puts in you? Now that's why God will give it a desire. Like if you have money, people say, what am I going to do with my money? How will I spend? How will I invest it? Because you have extra money. How will I spend? There's a desire. Something is, a wild horse is in your heart. It's running, and you feel it. You're scared. You're nervous. What am I going to do with this? But it's unsettled. It's giving you diarrhea or something. But something can break out, and you want to participate in that. God is doing the same the moment you get born again. That's why you have these inkling desires, and each individual is different. Because every member of the church has a different purpose. You need to learn how to work that out. And a lot of people doesn't know how to work that out. Let's take, for example, the nation of Israel. God took them out of Egypt. I'm going to bring you the promised land flowing with milk and honey. And then he gave them the law and told them, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. Let's take it out for a spin. What did some people say? No, we won't. They were taken out of Egypt. All they are filled with is complaining and grumbling. You see, complaining and grumbling will drown the voice inside. You will not be able to hear the voice of the Spirit if you keep grumbling and complaining. For example, let's take a person with confidence and with no confidence. A person with little confidence listens too much to complaining and grumbling. Why they can't do certain things? Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I am scared. That's grumbling and complaining. While a person with confidence shuts them off and begin to listen to the voice of their potential. I can do this. I can do that. So which voice are you listening to? Now remember, God is already working in you a desire to will and to work. That's inside. How come ever since we became a church, I keep saying, we'll bless the world? Well, that's what's inside. You know, I have never stood before a people and said, well, you know, it's good that we can have a service and let's just be happy together. Let's clap our hands, say amen, you know, be happy. No, it's never been our DNA. We want to push it, you know. We say, well, let's get a building after 2 years. Let's get another building. And by the way, right now, we're on the lookout for new buildings because we have heard a lot of Catholic churches are going to be selling their churches. A lot of Catholic churches. I got it from a Catholic fundraiser. They say, we're going to sell a lot of our churches. I'm saying, whoa. Do they have a church that we can buy that's good property, good parking lot? But they'll be selling. And the news says there's a lot of churches who will be closing because they're not able to survive because of COVID. Remember during the recession, at one time after we bought this building, there's a couple of Presbyterian churches. They have all old people, and so they decided to combine. I mean, they are selling both buildings for a very cheap price, but both are small buildings. You know, I'm on the lookout right now. Because I'm not limited to that La Crosse property. If we see something very good, in fact, I'm talking to my wife, I said, will the congregation go if it's a little bit outside of Chicago? Because there's a lot of big churches there. I'm looking at that Caldwell properties there. Man, they're building a new church there. I said, which church are going to close here, you know? Because if there's a church closing and it's big for us with a lot of potential, whoa. Why are we like that? Because it's in our spirits. We want to push this salvation. Where will it take us? But some people will just sit down. Yeah. Some people will just sit down. And they have no desires. They have no ambitions. There's just nothing. They're saved. Well, I'm going to heaven. That's all. Well, God is more than enough. Remember, that is one of the themes that we have in this underlying theme of this series. But for you, you have to carry it through. You have to carry it through or bring it to maturity by partnering with Christ in verses 6 to 11 of humility and obedience. And in context, since they have obeyed, keep obeying. Now, have you noticed when we first got born again, we have a lot of obedience after being newly born again. And then we are being pushed by God. Well, we keep obeying. You know, I told you when I first got saved, desire to go to church. I'm in Sunday school, morning service, and then we have a gathering in the afternoon. I go there if I can. And then evening service I go. Monday night youth Bible study I go. I didn't know I like all of them. I don't even like crusades. People flock to crusades. I don't like crusades. I like attending seminars. Well, because God is working in my heart to learn more so that I can teach more. You know? And I keep pushing it. I keep going for it. I keep going for it. I keep going for it. And God keeps giving it to me. And the more I access that, the more I say, whoa. You know, one of my regrets, I never realized that if you are a pastor or working in a not-for-profit organization, if you go to school and you get a degree, you have a lot of loans, right? But you work full-time in a not-for-profit organization, after 10 years, all your debts write off. I heard that after I graduated from Garrett Northwestern. After I heard that, why did I only hear it now? Had I known that before, I would not have been intimidated by going to other school for other degrees. That's why after I graduated, I said, Anne, I forgot how old I was. I think I was already over 50, right? When I graduated, I said, Anne, I just found this out. She said, why? What are you planning? I said, I really want to get a law degree. And she said, oh, I believe you can do it. I said, easy for you to say. You're just saying it. I'm the one going to school, you know. So I said, what am I going to do with a law degree at the age of 60 or something? So I said, I'll just drop it. But had I known, I would have gone further in education. But I didn't know that. But I just keep pushing whatever. And God is bringing me places. God is giving me opportunities. You keep pushing. You keep pushing. You keep pushing. And see what it brings. You lose your confidence. You lose your drive. The drive being God is the one who works in you. That is a very important thing. But the moment you fill your heart with complaining and grumbling, that desire that God put in there, it's going to be gone. Have you noticed when you complain too much, oh, the school is this, the school is that. You know, if you complain too much, you'll end up not liking school. You'll end up not liking that. If you complain too much about, well, you know, this COVID here, this COVID there, you will not go to church. You will not go to school. You will not do anything. Because it's covered. It's the same way with God. The moment you get born again, there is a desire or set of desires that God put in your heart. You can overcome that by complaints and, oh, it's hard, oh, it's difficult, oh, you're not going to do it. Like anything else in life. You want to get married, oh, it's expensive. Well, I'm going to have kids. It's problematic. What if my wife fights? What if we get divorced after 5 years? I might as well not change my last name. But this is how they might as well not get married. Meaning the desire is overcome by complaints. You see? But there are some people say, well, it can be overcome. I told you, I get married to my wife, I have $167 in my pocket. I don't have money for the ring. So I told my wife, well, I'm just going to get you a ring later. Maybe, I said, we'll just drive to the judge. Remember, I'm a pastor. We'll just drive to the judge, I said, and we'll take our vow. What about the ring? We'll just open a can of Coke and use that, you know, as a ring. And I was even joking with her. I said, you know, in the Philippines when we were young, you guys will not know this unless you're old. We buy candies and then there's a ring, right? I said, maybe we'll just buy that and use that. And my wife was very compliant. Okay, you know. I even told her, I'm gonna marry you in the Philippines. She said, okay. She said, okay. Now she just simply tell me, just turn it into cash, you know. But before we said that, she's okay. She's okay with being married in front of the judge, with no ring, no fanfare. Okay, let's do that. And to be honest, there is no fear. I have no fear. I have no green card. There is no fear. I don't know if she had fear, but I had no fear. Okay, let's go for it. Well, lo and behold, I took it for a spin. I realized God provides. Her mom bought us our ring. We have the most unique ring in the world. Different carats, you know. Hers is what, 21? Mine is what, 14? And then different style. Our rings are different. Very unique. You know. Well, we had a ring at least. And then her aunt wants to buy her how do you call that? Traje de boda, you know. Gown, yeah. And she bought the wrong gown. They get upset with her. Because I think she bought a, what color is that? Yellowish? What? She bought ivory. It turned out ivory is for those who are not virgins. It's got to be white for virgins. I don't know all of these things, you know. I'm not a woman, so she told me that. And so her aunt got upset. Why did you buy that? So got her a white gown. Well, I'm just gonna buy whatever suit, wear whatever suit I have. She said, no, I have this beautiful gown. I buy you a tuxedo. I have 2 tuxedos. It starts with a Coke open, you know. And let's just go to the judge. And then the church that I was pastoring, because I have no salary for 3 years, said, we're not going to allow that. They said, Pastor, maggayat na lang tayo. They will cook. I said, no. I said, I don't want to bother. No, Pastor said, you didn't get paid for 3 years. We'll work on this. All the leaders that you have in this church, we're going to work on this. And then one Navy retiree says, well, I'm an officer. We'll use the officers club. I said, oh, no, I can get it for you. Very cheap. I can get it for you. So we're in the officers club. And then my bishop found out that I'm getting married. I'm not even asking him to officiate the wedding. But he loves us. And he said, hey, listen, I have a trip. I have a ministry in Mexico. And it's the day before your marriage. I'm going to take the evening flight just so to officiate your wedding. I was not asking him to officiate it. So he ended up officiating it. It became a beautiful wedding. When I had $167, I took it out for a spin. I have a beautiful wedding. Yeah. We were not scared. And it turned out, some of you are very scared. I want to have kids. I have 5 kids. I'm not scared about being pregnant because it's my wife who gets pregnant with me. Yeah, that's why some of the fears that people have about this, I don't have that. I think God just take it away from my heart, and He will always provide. I push this salvation thing. You see, push this salvation thing. Or you can just sit down and be happy. I'm going to heaven. And struggle with everything. Be a punching bag for the devil. Don't win any battle. Well, I'm saved anyway. That's the most important thing. Really? Why did God save you? There is a reason why God saved you. There is a reason why God gave you 2 eyes. You know, some people, they have 2 eyes and they don't use it. They can see something wrong with their own eyes and ignore it. Why be blind as well? Might as well be blind. You can see it. You can see something is wrong, and yet you ignore it. God gave you eyes. God gave you ears. You can hear things that are wrong. Don't listen to it. You see? God gave you feet so you can go, but you don't want to go. You might as well be on a wheelchair. God gave you hands so you can do things, but you're lazy. You will never reach your potential because you're not working out who you are. Salvation is the same thing. Paul said, work out your own salvation with such reverence, that's fear and trembling, such reverence and respect. Respect what you have. I mean, for example, if you have $20,000 extra, you did not just get that $20,000 overnight. You work hard for it. Therefore, you will not just waste it. You will not just simply say, okay, bahala ka na. No, that's hard-earned $20,000. Make the most out of it. That's why I don't understand when people just simply like, or whatever. No, don't say whatever. People tell you, oh, this is expensive. I'll buy it that way. No, that's a hard-earned money. Bargain. Reason with people. Don't just waste it. Work it out. You see? But you can be ignorant and foolish and be taken advantage of. And really, there's so much potential and purpose that God put in our lives that we really don't have to stay the same. We can win, but you have to work it out. Amen? You don't win sitting down. You have to carry it through. This, again, does not mean to work means you need to work for your salvation. No, you're already saved. Let's take that salvation. You have the Holy Spirit. Remember what Jesus said in John chapter 7? Those who are thirsty, let him come, and out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. Right? But then the author of John, in John chapter 7, put a commentary there. This spake he of the Holy Spirit, which has not been given, but those who believe will receive. So now, we know that in John 7, the Holy Spirit has not been given. But if you believe, you will receive it. And Jesus said, out of his belly. That means that's coming from the outside, it's coming from the inside. Out of his belly will flow rivers of living water. When did Jesus give the Holy Spirit? and the believers receive it. Remember at the last chapter of John, when Jesus appeared to them, He breathed on them and said, receive ye the Holy Ghost. So they received it then. What happened in Acts 2? It flowed like a river, but it's already inside. So let's take it out for a spin. Now you are saved. You have the Holy Spirit. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that Holy Spirit? You already received it. Now Jesus already told you the potential. Out of his belly will flow rivers of living water. By the way, when that language will flow rivers of living water, it's a very rich language. That means when it flows, it's for drinking, it's for watering vegetation, it's for production, it's for life. That's what it's for. Now you have it. You have the Holy Spirit. Take it out for a spin. Work it out. It's already in you. Now some people say, well, I've got the Holy Ghost. What are you doing with it? You can operate in the gifts. You can have discernment. You can have the fruit of the Spirit coming out of you and blessing others. But some people keep it inside. Some people doesn't even know. Your neighbors doesn't even know you're born again. Why? It's inside. You already receive it. Let it flow. Let it flow like rivers of living water. That's what you mean by work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. The word for fear here is very interesting because this is where we get the word phobia. But actually it's extreme reverence. You know that what you have is precious. What you have is powerful. What you have can change your world and can change the world around you. So handle it with such reverence. Okay? Because some people don't handle what they have with the reverence. They don't handle the relationship with reverence. They don't handle whatever they have. You know, with no fear and trembling. It doesn't mean you will be scared. But respect what you have. Be awed with what you have. Because then you will really take advantage of it, you know. When I was in ROTC, we were in the shooting range. I told you this story, and we were doing target shooting. I don't know why it happened like that, but the place we're shooting in Port Bonifacio is we are on this ground, and then you're looking at the wall of rocks, okay? But on top of that is a golf course. I know in the Philippines it's like that. It's a golf course. And so we were shooting this target, but up there, several yards up, is a golf course. So it was our turn, our squad, our turn. We're aiming. We're using M1. And my fellow cadet was very nervous. He was shaking. And because he was shaking, he was very scared of gun. He was shaking like that. It was tilting upstairs. Oh. And there's a golf course upstairs. And so the training commander, now remember, these are Filipinos, these are not Americans, okay? And you know how it is in the Philippines. So the commander came and just knocked the head of this cadet. He hit it like that. Ang lutong. Minura pa, sabing gano'n, sira ka ba? May mga tao sa taas. And grabbed the rifle and said, get out of here! I was like, you don't realize that? Because you have to handle the gun with all the respect that you have. Why? Because the moment the bullet leaves the chamber, to whom it may concern, it doesn't say, well, that's a rich person. No, it's not going to avoid anything. That's why one of the things that you will be taught in military training like that is respect for these weapons. You know, you don't hold a pistol and say, well, you know that. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. Fear and trembling. Now listen, you get saved, right? You get the Holy Spirit. Treat it the same way. Treat it the same way with fear and trembling. Because what you have is Jesus, the Son of God, in your spirit. What you have is the Holy Spirit. Some people take it for granted, like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. That's why you have to watch out the way you live. You watch out where you go. You watch out your steps. That's how you handle it with fear and trembling. Now, reasons for this command. Again, because God is working in you. Therefore, what Paul told him is to work out your own salvation because God is already energizing it inside. It's already energized. You know, when people, for example, in physics, in energy section, when people see something precious, they work it out. Albert Einstein saw that light bends and saw atomic reaction, and he came up with the theory of relativity. This awesome power, you know, this awesome power. Well, it turned out to be, they use it for a weapon, but it's not supposed to be used for a weapon. Used for a weapon to defeat Germany. But he saw this. The principle, the theory of relativity has always been there when God created the heavens and the earth. It's there. It's there. Internet, all of that is there. But it needs to be worked out. Oh, we are seeing phenomenal potential. Remember the days, well, some of you will not remember, when television is on this big tube television and very heavy and black and white. And then, you know, black and white is boring, so they come up with a blue film. They put it in front of the television. And you know, the screen became bluish. It became boring. So they have a colored film, right? And then they have this tricolor, right? And then Technicolor. And then this wide television, that a 12-inch television, we have to do it like that. Now, have you seen the TVs right now? It's thin. Yeah. They keep pushing it. But it's the same principle. They keep pushing it. Remember the early telephone? The first mobile phones, the police having, they use the car battery to power it. Can you imagine if you're having a cell phone with a car battery? You're going to walk around with, oh, the small cell battery right now. It's the same principle. Cell phone. But they added text, they added internet. All of these are all there. But you have to work it out. Somebody has to think. Somebody has to work. Somebody has to spend endless. Salvation is the same way. What you have is something atomic, something nuclear, something powerful. But if you will just sit down and not push it, not work it out, you're going to end up. That's why some people say, well, my prayers are answered. How come your prayers are being answered, mine are not? Well, push it. If you pray and it's not being answered, you ask yourself, why? You know, DJ is a very zealous student. You know that she is under stress and is not free if her room is quiet. And she is moody. Oh. Hey, it's time to eat. No, I don't want to eat. I just moody, you know. And then from time to time, you will hear outbursts of screaming in her room. That means she solved a problem. And then she will be moody again, you know. And then there will be an outburst of screaming in the room again. That means she solved another problem. Or sometimes you will hear crying. That means she did not solve it, you know. But she keeps pushing it. She keeps pushing it. She keeps pushing it. You have to push it. That's working out your own salvation. Now, the more you get a handle of what faith is, and you know that you have a handle of what faith is the moment you can put it on practical level. If you can't put it on practical level, you don't have a handle of it. Okay? What is faith? Well, faith is, you know, philosophically, you don't know what you're talking about. But the moment you can put faith in a practical level where you can hold it, I like what Oral Roberts says. Faith is like a tool in a mechanic's hand. You can really hold it and use it for whatever purpose you need to use it. It becomes a tool to you. That's why if you cannot apply what you are learning on practical tools, you never learn it yet. You need to be able to use it. You need to be able to apply it practically. But the moment you are able to apply it practically, then you are working it out. And so God is energizing you. He is working in you. The word there is where we get the word energy. He is energizing you. That's why when God works in your spirit, you feel a burst of strength. I can't do it. Until somebody puts complaint and ground. Oh, what are you doing? Why are you reading your Bible again? Ah, you become shy. Then it will be gone. You are bent on being obedient until somebody discourages you. What happened to that energy inside? It dissipates. That's why you have to learn to avoid certain people, certain things, because especially if you are not focused. Especially if you're not focused. I told you I had a student before. When he was in high school, he graduated valedictorian. But the province only has high school. Now he'll go to college. He went to college. He went to the city. And he said, the city never sleeps. And he realized there's a lot of movie houses, a lot of entertainment. So he started trying things here, and he tried drugs. Ruined his college life. He didn't finish college. You know. Until God saved him. God saved him. He went to the Bible school and finished the Bible school. What happened there? Got distracted. Got distracted. There is a burning in his inside. I am a provincial person. I was given a scholarship. I'm a valedictorian. Now I'm going to go to college. I'll be among the first to finish college from my clan. He messed it up. The voices from his parents, the voices from his neighbors, the voices from his friends. Oh, you're going to be the pride of this village. Oh, you're going to make it. All of that was covered by nightclubs, drugs, complaining, grumbling. You see. What is happening to the energy of God in your heart? What is happening there right now? Second, do everything without grumbling. First, work out your own salvation. Do everything without grumbling. Obviously, this requires a lot of patience and endurance to accomplish. That is why complaining has to be removed. If you are going to fulfill God's purpose in your life, complaining has to be removed. Now, I'm thinking of the nation of Israel. Israel got exited from Egypt. They were all excited. God sent Moses. Well, God says that you will go free. They were happy. They were having a village meeting. Well, God sent me to set you free. I'm going to go to Pharaoh. So, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh says, no, now I'm not going to provide you with straw. You're going to look for your own straw, but meet the same quota in the production of bricks. What did the nation of Israel say? Why did you do this, Moses? Grumbling and complaining. They lost sight of their prayers. Their prayer was, we want to leave Egypt. We don't want to be slaves anymore. That was very clear. But the moment they were required to get their own straw, with the same quota of bricks, it discouraged them. So what happened to that voice in their spirits? It was all being covered. That's what happened to us. The Bible just summarizes it as grumbling and complaining. That's what happened to us. You have a dream, you have a potential, and then suddenly you encounter problems. That problem overcome the voice inside. And that is what is generally happening to a lot of people. That's why do everything without grumbling. The moment you are on your way to obey God, you humble yourself, you're going to obey God. Do not let grumbling to get in your way. Grumbling is produced by obstacles. Grumbling is produced by problems and difficulties that you encounter along the journey. What they want to achieve is entry into the promised land. That generation didn't enter. Why? They are complaining, we need food. Manna was given to them by God. We need water. The rock followed them. We need this. God gave them quails. Everything that they asked for, God gave them. But every time there is this excitement, the grumbling is just too much until it becomes a habit. Listen, complaining, grumbling, being defeated is an attitude. Some people are so used to being defeated, they expect defeat. You know, among athletes that I know, their greatest obstacle is here. They say, you see that team, they always beat you. The moment you see them, you have to overcome it. Oh, they're going to beat us again. They're going to beat us again. It's just a question of how many points they're going to beat us again. You have a losing attitude. You need to get rid of that. You know? That's why a lot of people don't accomplish anything, because they have that losing attitude. They cannot obey fully what God wants them to do. That is what happened to the people of Israel after the Exodus. And this is what Paul is teaching the Philippians to avoid. Remember, our theme is partnership. Because a lot of churches started partnering with Paul, but nobody stayed faithful other than the Philippians. And so now, because other people are no longer faithful, they are asking themselves, well, Paul is in jail. We have an excuse. Maybe we should no longer be faithful partners. But they kept that fire inside. They remained faithful. The reason for this command to do everything without grumbling is, number one, so that you may be blameless and pure. That is the language of righteousness. Okay? So that you will show that as children of God, you are faultless in this crooked and perverse generation. A language of righteousness. Now you are putting righteousness in practical terms. Because, well, I'm the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. That's easy to claim. But let's put it on the ground. Blameless and pure in this perverse generation. Crooked and perverse generation. See the contrast? How do you know you are not grumbling? Because the world lives like that. You live like this. You know what grumbling is? This is what I have my in-law, the husband of my wife's sister. He used to come here. I met one of his classmates in UE. He's a Christian, and he partners with us in what we are doing in the Philippines. And one day we were eating, and he says, "Oh, Pastor Jose, I didn't realize that he is your brother-in-law." I said, "Yes, he is." And he started sharing stories. When we were in UE, he said, during exam, he will sit in front of the class. Yeah, he will sit in front of the class and refuse to cheat. He said, and we will all be sitting at the back, and we cheat. He said, and we cheat. He said that. And said, come grading time, we have higher grades. He has lower grades. Because he is a Christian and he refused to cheat. And then he said this. And then I heard, he said, he's a big shot in IBM. Because he became a big shot in IBM. When the ATM machine started, I think there were only 3 of them that were traveling all over Asia. He talks to me, he said, I will have breakfast in Hong Kong and have lunch in Taiwan. Because he's traveling all over. And then be back in the Philippines by even time. He's got stocks and all of those things. And he said, I heard it. And he said, oh, he is right. He is doing the righteous thing. And so God rewarded him. And so he asked me, what's happening to him now? I said, well, let's not ask that right now because they're struggling in the U.S. And he said, oh, he will. And this is what he told me. He'll be okay. He'll be okay. Because he maintained his righteousness. The world is like that. The world is there, we are here. The contrast. We are living in this crooked and perverse generation. That's what blameless is. Practical righteousness. Meaning if the world is going there, you are not going there. You are going in the place where God wants you to be. That's how if we are doing everything that the world is doing, that's not blameless and pure. What's the difference? What's the difference? If the unbelievers are sleeping around and we're sleeping around, what's the difference? It becomes a religion. If the unbelievers are cheaters and we are cheaters, what's the difference? You see, there has to be a contrast. And this is practical righteousness. So that you will shine as stars in the world. Why is it that LED became very popular? Because it gives a lot of light, cheap. That's what makes it distinct. What makes us distinct as Christians? You accomplish all of the above by holding firm to the word of life. Now this, we are given again the reason how we can achieve this. By holding on to the word of life, to the scriptures. Grumbling and complaining is when you no longer hold on. Oh, that is too difficult. It's impossible. Grumbling and complaining. You see, grumbling and complaining, sometimes we think, oh, that's so ugly. No, that's not necessarily what it is. The moment you stop holding on to the word of life, you are grumbling and complaining. The moment you say, it cannot be done, it's impossible, you're grumbling and complaining. So that Paul, if you don't grumble and complain, so that Paul can boast in the day of Christ, his labor is not in vain. Now we understand that. Now, your parents send you to school and say you finish your degree in 4 years, get a decent job. Well, he worked hard. What happened? You went to school, you became members of different clubs, and you don't finish anything. Your parents says, child, I worked so hard for this. What happened? And he says, everything went to waste. It's in vain. Yeah, because my parents love me. Yeah, but you never finish anything. You are a dependent all your life. What happened? It's in vain. It's in vain. But if your parents told you, we're going to work hard, we're going to energize you, we're going to support you, then you finish, and then one day you look at your parents and say, Dad, Mom, I have a job now. You don't need to give me allowance anymore. Really? Are you sure? Yeah. Really, Mom? And then some kids are doing this. I'm not saying you should do this, but some kids are doing this. First salary, Mom, I'm giving you the whole package. You're very happy. It's not in vain. What after the first month's salary? Mom, I have my first month's salary. It's not enough. Can you give me more? Son, what happened? What happened? They say, sayang. It's in vain. It's in vain. Worse, you end up with so much debt. For what? For nothing. It becomes in vain. You see. Now, look. You go to church, your parents bring you to church, your loved ones bring you to church, and then at the end, you let go of the word of life. People say, what happened? What happened? I mean, what happened to all of this? You see, what Paul is saying is, if you do this, if you work out your own salvation, and I'm seeing you develop in God-given potential and purpose, and you are not complaining, you are holding on to the word of life, Paul now is saying, wow, it's time for me to go. Now you will understand why Paul said this last time we were here last week. I am in betwixt. Am I gonna go or am I gonna stay? You see, it seems like Paul has a choice. Am I gonna go or am I gonna stay? If I go, it's better for me. I'm gonna be with Jesus. All of this suffering is over. All the is over. Am I gonna go? Now remember, he was already old during this time. Am I gonna go? And you say, but I say, I'm gonna stay. Why? It's necessary for you. It's good for you. Why? Because they have not fully walked in this yet. There are forces from the Jerusalem circumcision party, and we're gonna deal with that maybe this afternoon or tomorrow. From the Jewish circumcision party, who is putting a stumbling block, and they are stumbling. The Galatians stumbled so hard, they almost quit. You see, they are stumbling, and so they say, "Oh, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. I'm going to stay." I remember I told you about my father when he was shot. Jose, I'm going to have to live. I'm going to have to. Why? You have younger siblings. They need to finish college. My father was thinking, yeah, the old ones are almost there, but my little ones, my younglings, they need to finish school so they can have a job and have a better chance in life. I've got to stay alive. That's what Paul felt spiritually. He was looking at the Philippians and he's saying, you're obedient, but not there yet. Not there yet. Now remember, it is here that Paul said, remember in the prison of Jesus, Paul said, he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. You see? I think I'm beginning to feel it as a parent. What I would like, I tell my kids, what I would like to see is before I go home, all of you finish college. Maybe I have seen my first few grandchildren. But really, I don't want to go. If Joel has not finished college yet, you know, my third one is going junior this fall quarter, and soon she will graduate. I don't know what's going to happen next. Or she's going to go to medical school, but then James is going to go to school, pre-law, and then Joel is going to be in high school. Before I go home, I want to see Joel finish college. Yeah. I don't want to go down the grave thinking, what's going to happen to Joel? I want to see him apply for a job, you know. God willing, I want to see him get married first, you know. Well, you see that happening and they have a career. They are mushrooming. What happened? You are not going to the grave in grief. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you kids, you know. Do not put your parents in the grave in grief. Make sure before they go to the grave, they are happy. Not because you're tickling them, you know. They are happy because they are looking at you and they are saying, time to go now. I can go now. I can go now. So Paul here, he was saying from our last week's discussion, I want to go home. But that church in Jerusalem, they have sent some representative of the circumcision party giving you troubles. I'm going to stay. Because it's still, parents like that. You know, I've seen parents who are old. Man, they need to retire. Huh? They need to retire. They need to stop working. But they keep plowing along. They keep plowing along, working some more. They're tired, but they're working. I've got to work. Why? You know, my daughter, my child is not there yet. And you look at those parents and say, I'm tired. They're tired. Paul is saying, I'm tired. I want to go to heaven. But the Galatians, especially the Galatians, the Philippians. The Galatians needs to stop this downhill. The Philippians, they have not reached their potential. I'm still needed. I'm going to stay for your benefit. But he really wants to go home. He really wants to go home. But I'm going to stay for their benefit. Amen? I'll tell you this. My wife knows this. You know what I would love right now? Go back to the Philippines. Yeah. Not time yet. Yeah, not time yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah. But I would love to just train new ministers right now there and maybe establish a new church if I still have the strength, but maybe establish a new church. I remember years ago I had a transition team for 5 years. I wish that materialized. I really do. Because my heart is moving me. Not there yet. Not there yet. You know. Third, be glad and rejoice with me. That's in verse 18. This is in the context of verse 16, our last point, that Paul did not labor in vain. If you are laboring and it's not in vain, you're happy. You know, sometimes when my wife and I are fighting, because you know, when you go to your bedroom, you turn up the lights. You don't want to trip. In our bedroom, when I turn up the light, I have to turn on my cell phone light. Because if I don't walk carefully, I may trip. You know, because there are walls of aliens on my left and on my right. I have a hallway that is around 4 feet wide, and I'm walking on a 6-inch. You know, you cannot even walk. And there were times I'll be telling my wife and my kids, did I labor in vain? let me enjoy this house. Let me walk freely, without looking. Am I going to trip? Let me just say, can I just go to bed directly without saying, clear the bed? It doesn't have to be cleared. It should be clear all the time. Yeah. Yeah. And I look at my kids. I look at their room. I said, kids, what happened to your room? Looks like World War II, But James is trying his best. But DJ walked in his room, I think the other day, and he was tripping 3 times. So I want to enjoy this place. You see? It is tied up with not laboring in vain. When you are not laboring in vain, you are seeing the results. It brings you joy. Not only joy. You should see DJ's face when she cleared her room. She said, wow, I didn't realize I have a big room. I said, you have. But the reason why she saw the big room is because she removed the cabinets. After she removed wow, I didn't know I can put a bed here. And she has a makeshift table, and she's got a whiteboard, and I see her working her homework, and she has a whiteboard and writing, solving problems. And now James saw it. Well, the same thing. And now we demolished a couple of beds, and James says, oh, we have so much room. You see? Then both are happy. Now, can you imagine this? If we are pleasing to God, we are working out our salvation with much fear and trembling, we are not grumbling, and God is seeing, we rejoice with Him. That's why we rejoice in the Lord always, which is part of the theme of Philippians. Notice, for a letter with some measure of intensity. Philippians is a very intense letter. If you will look at the spirit of the, like Galatians, Paul is angry. Here, there is intensity because you guys are obedient, you stay obedient, but you are not there yet. It's like a teacher looking at his students with so much potential, but the students are not reaching it. Have you noticed when you're in school and your teacher says, you can do this, you can do this. After I have received so much obstacle in my studies at Regent, I told my dean, I said, sir, I'm not going to get my MDiv anymore. I'm going to move to MA. He said, why? Well, because I said, if I switch to MA, I said, all I need is 1 or 2 courses, and I'm done. Because the financial burden is so, I'm done. And he looked at me and says, no, don't cut yourself short. Don't cut yourself short, Jose. He said, look, the first time you came here, you are full of fear, and now this is what's happening to you. He told me this, Jose, don't you see the approval of God in your life? You have experienced so much miracles. Don't cut yourself short. I said, sir, but it's tough. He said, why don't you apply for scholarship? I said, I don't know how. He said, I'll help you. I'll help you. And he looked, I said, come on. And he checked my GPA. I said, your GPA? You're in the dean's list. I said, how come I don't know that? I said, because you have to apply. It turned out my grade was good enough to be in the dean's list. Gave me 20% off right away. He said, let's find you some scholarship some more. Keep finding until I was only paying 10%. Then the giving up stops. And I finished my MDiv in 3 years. Yeah. But he told me this, don't cut yourself short. You see, what happened is, when you don't work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, you're cutting yourself short. Don't cut yourself short. There's so much potential that God put in you. If you don't cut yourself short, then even though the letter has intensity, there is this theme of joy. Like a mother may be struggling in pregnancy. First, you start with morning sickness, then carrying that watermelon for 9 months, And have you noticed when these women are about to give birth, when they are single, when they are not pregnant or when they are sexy, they walk with style, with high heels and everything. Now when they get pregnant and they're big, all they need is to walk, They're holding, before they walk. But why do they carry that? Because there is that anticipation of joy. The moment the baby is born, you think the woman will learn her lesson. Here she go again, pregnant again. I thought you were in so much pain. And they are cursing their husband when they're in delivery. I'm not going to do it again. But the moment the baby is out, let's do it again. Never learn their lesson. Yeah. Why? Because there's just this joy that is very different that people will never experience unless they have children. I will never experience the joy of my wife. Why? I am never pregnant. I will never experience her joy. But that's hers. And from time to time right now, she's way past menopause, but she will tell me, I wish you had more children. Well, I told her, I gave you a chance, you quit, But she'll tell me, Joel, it's our last baby. And now he will also have a baby. I wish we have a younger one. I said, well, let's just hope for our grandkids. But what can I do? Joseph is too slow. Okay, well, let's all stand.